Visions of several federal programs expired or tapered off. The decrease in real gross domestic product reflected declines in private inventory investment, exports, federal government spending, and state and local government spending, while imports, a subtraction in the calculation of GDP, increased.
And that's all for this edition of News Hour. Thank you for being with us. Bye for now.
At 7:18 a.m. on May 15th, 2021, China's Mars probe Tianwen-1 was about to take its most crucial and dangerous step, landing on the red planet.
火星着陆，因为它跟月球探测跟地球卫星有很大的不同，就是距离太远。对，另一个就是火星的环境，咱们是不可知的。火星的大气压是地球的1%，会带来一系列开采、一系列关键的动作。第三，就是咱们火星的地形地貌，就是影响我未来安全着陆那一时刻，决定我着陆平台是不是按照我预定设置来正常的着陆火面。也有可能，如果你碰到一个石块，有可能翻了。所以这是特定的条件，是我们在整个着陆设计过程中要考虑的。陈老师，这是我们出样的一个结构器，作为一个模拟的平台，做那个火星车往下驶的一个验证。着陆平台的一个1:1的真实的啊，结构是真实的，
实际的平台就是那么高。
对。
啊，这么看这个坡还挺陡的呀。
是，
咱们整个这个车轮哈，前轮只有一对儿，后边那2个呢，好像又架在同一组上，看起来也还能转。那这个轮子的结构为什么要设计的这么复杂呢？
一个还是刚才讲了。火星的岩石比较多，我首先我这个移动系统要耐磨，然后抗震。第二个方面，我要考虑整个移动过程中的越障能力，就中国考虑这因素。第三个，我要考虑，因为火星的火氧有个特点，你可能看的表面上看的就表面上很硬，然后走可能下面是软的，
就陷进去。
对，假设我前轮在这儿，陷进去了，对吧？
对，
我就开始往下降。降这个前轮不动，是后轮往后走，我车体在抬升，这样带着这个前轮的脱困。实际上，这个车轮还有一种那个功能和作用，就是通过车轮走可以形成一个中国的元素，一个中国的宗旨，一个是体现了中国元素，我中国到了火星上啊。第二个，就火星车一个距离测定的一个基准，就是我车轮转一圈，我形成一个中字，这转一圈的距离是定的。我可以通过相机看看一共走过多少圈，我就可以看出，就这个车行走是20米还是18米。
裴老师，我看这儿还有一个这个螺旋的筒，然后那边还有一个像镜子一样的东西，这些都是什么东西啊？
车上一共带了6台载荷，那个设备是咱们载荷的一种，就是叫表面成分探测仪，主要是咱们来进行对火星表面的物质的化学元素、化学成分进行那个研究。另一个对火星的表面结构分布，火星表面的也进行研究。第二个载荷就是看着这2个相机啊，实际上这个是复用咱们行走过程中路径规划，
相当于探路的，
对，探路，拍照片探路。第3个载荷就中间了，叫多光谱相机。对，它是
看到那个很奇怪的石头是它拍的。
对，它是作为一个定点探测一个载荷，它主要是对感兴趣的岩石啦、地表啦，来进行多光谱成像。然后成像化了以后进行科学分析。第4个载荷咱们有个气象测量仪，包括风场探头，透过它，这个下面还有2个小探头，探那个温度和气压的，就是火星的表面的大气压。第5个就看这个是就火星表面磁场仪，它主要作用是探着陆区的磁场的特性，进行磁场研究的。还有一个是咱们测绘雷达天线，这个主要是探土壤的结构。所有的数据都要经过地面应用性的科学家进行分析。咱们现在通过这次任务可以获得一手的一次火星真实的一次数据。
对。
通过这数据分析，我可能 一有提出新的感兴趣的方向啊，再来规划下一次探测科学载荷探测设备。
Every celestial body in the vast universe has aroused the imagination of our ancestors. In modern China, astronauts have made unremitting efforts to make the ancients' infinite imagination of the starry sky come true. We sowed the seeds of hope and peace in the universe. We will continue to explore more of the unknown and mysterious and create greater miracles.
Coming up on Economy Report, China maintained a balance in its international payments in the first quarter of this year with a reasonable level of current account surplus. China's industrial firms saw profits increase by 8.5% year-on-year in the first quarter of 2022, maintaining steady growth. Hello and welcome to this edition of Economy Report. I'm Zhang Li in Beijing. China maintained a balance in its international payments in the first quarter of this year with a reasonable level of current account surplus.
According to the State Administration of Foreign Exchange, China reported a current account surplus of $89.5 billion in the first 3 months, accounting for 2.1% of its gross domestic product during the period. In the meantime, trade in goods reported a surplus of $145 billion, hitting an all-time high. Goods exports and imports respectively rose 16% and 15% year-on-year. The trade in services saw a lower deficit of $18.2 billion, down 30% year-on-year. The administration also noted that the country saw a relatively high foreign direct investment inflow in the period, while outbound direct investment remained stable.
Profits of China's major industrial firms reached about $298.8 billion in the first quarter of 2022, underscoring the resilience of China's economy.
The National Bureau of Statistics said in the first 3 months, 24 out of 41 industries saw a year-on-year expansion in their profits, while 15 others logged declines. The revenues of those major firms, each with annual main business revenue of at least 20 million yuan, went up 12.7% year-on-year to 31.27 trillion yuan. The continued growth, grown out of a series of pro-growth policies rolled out by Beijing, underscores the resilience of China's economy.
I think the resilience of the Chinese economy is going very well. And one of the pillars of this resilience is the Chinese digital economy.
We see China capable of boosting the economy because it has ample policy space. And we have seen in the last days the People's Bank of China taking action to ease conditions for access to credit. And it also has a space in terms of fiscal policy.
Pienso que China va a seguir ocupando un lugar central en la dinámica económica a nivel global. ¿Por qué? Por las tendencias de desarrollo, por las potencialidades que tiene China, por la coherencia de sus políticas. China cada vez va a ir ocupando un lugar más destacado en la evolución económica a escala internacional.
The Chinese government has previously been very careful to balance the economic and health requirements. The government has also come up with very enabling policies, including stimulus packages to support industry players, to ensure that production does not slow, to ensure that the industrial capacity of China is unhampered. I think that the Chinese economy is still going to remain strong and a major contributor to global economic wellness.
The first elevated expressway in Dhaka, one of the world's most densely populated capitals, is being built by workers from both China and Bangladesh.
The first Dhaka elevated expressway is being built in Bangladesh's capital Dhaka, which is one of the world's most densely populated capitals with some of the worst traffic jams. The 20 km expressway runs from Hazrat Shahjalal International Airport to Dhaka's central Kamalapur railway station, before connecting to the main transportation artery in Bangladesh. In 2011, the Bangladesh Bridge Authority contracted an overseas construction company to build the expressway. Almost a decade later, at the end of 2019, with no progress made, the deal was handed over to Chinese companies, Shandong High Speed and Sino Hydro, in a public-private partnership with the Bridge Authority.
অত্যন্ত গুরুত্বপূর্ণ এই প্রজেক্ট ঢাকা শহরের মধ্যে রেল লাইনের উপর দিয়ে, সেটা ঢাকার মধ্যে প্রথম এলিভেটেড এক্সপ্রেসওয়ে। কোভিডের মধ্যে অন্যান্য প্রজেক্ট এবং অন্যান্য ইন্ডাস্ট্রিগুলো বন্ধ হয়ে যাওয়ার পরও কিন্তু আমাদের ম্যানেজমেন্ট আমাদেরকে কাজ চালিয়ে গেছেন। এতে আমরা আর্থিক দিকেও উপকৃত হয়েছি এবং কাজের দিক থেকেও বাংলাদেশ সরকার উপকৃত হয়েছে। আমাদের একটা টার্গেট, শেষ টার্গেটটা হলো জিরো অ্যাক্সিডেন্ট। সেই লক্ষ্যে আমরা কাজ করছি।
和梦工的工人在一块工作感到很高兴啊！我们一块合作很开心很快乐。以后我们中国人和孟加拉人互相把这个路桥工作干好，把咱们的工程干到一流的水平。
আমি এত বড় একটা প্রজেক্টে কাজের জন্য আমি অনেক খুশি এবং আমি চাইনিজদের কাছে, আমার চাইনিজ বসদের কাছে আমি নতুন নতুন কিছু শিখছি, এখানে অভিজ্ঞ হচ্ছি। আমি আশা করছি দেশে ভবিষ্যতে আরো বড় বড় প্রজেক্টে কাজ করতে পারবো।
我们加强属地化员工招聘2500余名属地员工，并积极开展员工培训，项目进展迅速，按照现在的工程计划，2023年有望完工。
According to Zhou, when completed, the expressway will shorten the travel time from 3 hours to 20 minutes and ease the traffic in Dhaka.
And that's all for this edition of Economy Report. Thank you for being with us. Bye for now.
Over 8 years have passed since Chinese President Xi Jinping first proposed the Belt and Road Initiative. The BRI has changed from concept to practice, creating opportunities while benefiting the world. Piraeus Port, the southern gate of Europe, has gone through twists and turns over a history of more than 2,000 years. After China's COSCO formally participated in operations in 2010, Piraeus has been expanded, upgraded, and regained its shine. Tassos Pamvakidis has been working at the port for nearly half a century.
I was in the first 2-3 years trying to compare the developments in this side of the terminal with the previous situation. After 3-4 years I stopped doing that because we are talking about a completely different port. It's last generation equipment, infrastructure, technologies, innovative technologies in terms of operation.
Under the BRI, the Piraeus port's container throughput increased from 880,000 TEUs in 2010 to 5.65 million TEUs in 2019, as its global ranking jumped from 93 to 32, making it a top port in the Mediterranean. In November 2019, President Xi and Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis visited the Piraeus port.
百闻不如一见的，今天亲自来看一看，中国所提倡的一带一路啊，看来不仅是一句口号，不是一个传说，它是一个现实的、精彩的合作的范例。
The Smederevo steel plant in Serbia was once on the verge of bankruptcy. China's Steel Group purchased it in 2016, bringing great changes to the factory and the life of its 5,000 employees.
Prije jedno 8 godina I sada je razlika veoma velika. Znači, kad smo bili samostalni, nismo imali budućnost, nismo imali uvida.
In June 2016, President Xi paid a visit to the Smederevo steel plant and said, "I believe that with the close cooperation of the two sides, the Smederevo steel mill will surely be revitalized and play a positive role in creating jobs, improving people's lives, and helping Serbian economic development." The steel mill has also become the country's biggest exporter and retained the position for 3 consecutive years until 2020.
Za samo 5,5 godina od fabrike koja je nekoliko nedelja ili možda I meseci, nije toliko važno, delilo od zaustavljanja I potpune obustave rada, postaćemo jedna od najboljih fabrika u ovom delu Evrope.
For Belarusian Kirill Y. Karativ, joining the China-Belarus Industrial Park was a turning point in his life.
С тех пор главы государств уделили большое внимание проекту. Я, конечно же, поверил в его развитие и без колебаний присоединился к его реализации.
The China-Belarus Industrial Park is a landmark project between the two countries under the Belt and Road Initiative. China and Belarus signed an agreement on the project in September 2011. In May 2015, President Xi and his wife Peng Liyuan visited the industrial park with Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko. The facility has injected new impetus into bilateral cooperation and changed the life path of many.
Парк развивается как большая интернациональная семья, и особенно это видно на примере нашего жилого дома. В будущем мы также планируем развивать научные разработки, уделять больше внимания инновациям, достигая всеми силами поставленной цели – это преобразование индустриального парка в современный международный промышленный эко-город.
In Senegal, the westernmost country on the African continent, many regions have been plagued by a shortage of water. In some villages far from cities, residents often could not get access to clean and safe water. This newly drilled well in Kojil Baling village is part of a Chinese-funded rural well drilling project in Senegal. It was agreed upon as leaders of China and Senegal met in Hangzhou in 2016. The rural well drilling project officially began in Senegal in March 2017. It had great and tough challenges to overcome.
在非洲开展打井项目是非常艰难的，这里的地质情况呢是很复杂的。
After years of efforts, the well drilling project was handed over to the Senegalese government in March 2021. It consists of 251 wells and 1,800 kilometers of water pipelines, benefiting 1/7 of Senegal's population. The project also created jobs for more than 3,000 locals. Laos, a landlocked country in the Indochina Peninsula, people here have been longing for a railway link to the outside. They pin hope on the China-Laos Railway, a flagship project of the Belt and Road Initiative. The project commenced in late 2015. About 2 years later, President Xi paid a state visit to Laos. In a signed article published on Lao Media, Xi said, as an important part of the Trans-Asian Railway network, the China-Laos Railway is of major strategic and practical importance to Laos. The project also helps Saida Thengfong Son realize her dream to be a train driver.
ดีใจหลายที่ว่าท่านสีจิ้นผิงได้มาเยี่ยมยามประเทศลาวและก่อสร้างเส้นทางรถไฟลาวจีน
The railway was put to use in early December 2021.
สำหรับตัวนี้มันก็มีผลดีหลายอย่างสำหรับประเทศลาวสำหรับครอบครัวน้องหรือสำหรับตัวน้องเนาะคือน้องก็คือมีเวียกที่ว่าเหมือนติ้ง มีเวียกที่ว่ามันคงนำพาประเทศลาวสามารถก้าวไปสามารถพัฒนาในหลายๆด้านสำหรับเมืองไซก็เป็นแขวงหนึ่งที่ว่ามีผลิตภัณฑ์นำเข้าหลายอย่างซึ่งถ้าว่ามีรถไฟเข้ามามันจะสะดวกสบายต่อการนำสินค้าเข้ามาลาวค่ะโดยเฉพาะเมืองไซแขวงอุดมไซ
On a flat stretch of desert near the Nile River, a new city is being built. The Central Business District in Egypt's new administrative capital is the largest project implemented by a Chinese company in Egypt so far.
这项工程开始于2016年1月21日，那天，我们公司与埃及住房、公共设施和城市发展部在习近平主席和埃及总统塞西的见证下，签署了埃及新首都建设一揽子总承包合同。
The CBD project includes 20 new high-rise buildings and some municipal projects, including a 385-meter-high iconic tower.
标志塔建成后，将刷新整个非洲的天际线。
With everyone's efforts, the project has gone smoothly. The iconic tower has created many construction records.
38小时便完成了18500立方米阀板基础浇筑，一举创出非洲建筑史上单体建筑最大基础底板、浇筑超大型基础底板的最快纪录，高峰期单日最大混凝土浇筑量新纪录。
6 years in the making, Africa's tallest skyscraper has risen in the desert.
عمل هندسي يعني فعلا يفوق وإن شاء الله يعني هذا المشروع هيبقى يعني علامة مميزة لمصر كلها ويعبر عن مصر الحديثة إن شاء الله.
Since operations began in 2011, the China-Europe freight train service has served as a crucial link for trade and economic cooperation. Polish businessman Paweł Moskala, who's been engaged in the freight shipping business for years, is one of many who want to seize the opportunities brought by the trains from the east.
Największą przewagą transportu kolejowego realizowanego za pomocą China Railway Express pomiędzy Europą, Chinami i Europą jest na pewno czas tranzytu, który jest czasem pomiędzy fraktem morskim a transportem lotniczym, czyli
During a state visit to Poland in June 2016, President Xi and his Polish counterpart, Andrzej Duda, witnessed the arrival of the first China-Europe freight train under the family brand China Railway Express. There are 3 major rail transport corridors between China and Europe. Most of the rail routes pass through Poland. Since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, the global logistics industry was immediately impacted. However, China-Europe freight trains have bucked the trend and served as a lifeline for international trade.
I oby ona się tak dalej rozwijała. Myślę, że chyba będzie. Wszystko daje taki znak, że Chińczycy się rozwijają, my też przyjdziemy. Z waszego szlaku korzystamy i wy, i my. Także trzeba dalej inwestować i nam, i wam. Pierw wam, a potem nam.
In the Sri Lankan capital Colombo, a city of the future is rising from the sea. The Colombo port city was launched in 2014 as the largest foreign direct investment in Sri Lanka. President Xi and then Sri Lankan President Mahinda Rajapaksa attended a ribbon-cutting ceremony marking the project's inauguration. The mega project is jointly built by a Chinese company and the Sri Lankan government. Since the launch of the project, Sanjeewa has been following its development from overseas. He returned to Sri Lanka in 2016 and later joined the project.
I am proud that Port City is an unprecedented project in Sri Lanka's history.
whatever we are doing now will be sample of Sri Lanka's future.
The Sri Lankan government plans to turn it into a financial and commercial centre in South Asia, as well as a world-class tourist attraction.
Our vision to make the port city a key service hub for one of the fastest growing regions in the world.
Next stop is...
The Orange Line, launched in 2020, is the first and only metro line in Pakistan. It's also an early harvest project under the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, a flagship project under the Belt and Road Initiative. Chinese President Xi Jinping paid a state visit to Pakistan in April 2015. During the trip, leaders of the two countries witnessed the signing of more than 50 cooperation deals, including the Orange Line project. Young Pakistani man Mohammed Nauman has a deep affection for the metro. It's where his career began.
My family is very proud of me because being a part of this much great project, this international project, everyone likes it.
Nowadays, the Orange Line has become a token of friendship between China and Pakistan.
There's a very frequent term which is being used in our friendship, that it is deeper than the oceans and higher than the mountains and sweeter than honey. And it is a very apt description of the last 70 years. The sweetness is improving, the depth of the relationship is improving.